world where your legacy be.
All right, week 5 is in the books, and we are back for another week of the Low Post podcast. I'm Dan Ruggiero. I'm joined, as always, by PJ Thomas, but we have a special guest here today. Why don't you introduce yourself to the room?
I don't really need an introduction, but Shaine, it's me.
That is right. We're joined by the effervescent big man of the Duje's boys. We have 3 of them all in the same room. It's me, PJ, and Shaine. And I think it's only right we start talking about the game of the week. The Duje's boys taking down Lob City 63-61. So PJ or Shaine, whoever wants to start it off and lead us into this madness, someone take it away.
I'll let PJ lead, and I'll just get into the game, I guess.
Yeah, well, we can call upon Shaine here. So I think there was a interview that took place with one of the interns. He talked to me and Cody a little bit before the game and kind of said, what is everyone's keys to the game? We knew it was going to be a physical matchup. We knew it was going to be close. And talking to a few people afterward, they were like, what was the biggest score? Like, what was the biggest lead throughout the game? And I believe it was 5 for them. I don't think we ever had a lead that was even more than 2 or 3.
We could not break past like 3 points.
Yeah. So they had a lead of 5. I actually believe that we led after every quarter except going into the 4th. We were up
down 1.
Yeah, we were up 1 in every quarter, and then we were down 1 going to the 4th. So for us, it was kind of fun. I know that at the end of the 3rd, we kind of huddled up, and Shaine said to us, "This is the exact same spot we were in the championship. Only this time we have Johnny and Vinny." And for us, we were kind of like, yeah, wait, we were here last time without our 2 best players, and we're here again. So now we know we can win. So that kind of gave us the spark that we needed, I think, to, we were in it the whole game. It wasn't like it was ever a question of the game's going to be a close one. And it just came down to us limiting what they do the best. So we tried to limit their transition buckets, which we know that they like to get. That's usually how they get up on teams quickly. So we were able to limit that and not let them just throw the ball down the court and dunk every single time. Even though we didn't have the greatest shooting night again, we seemed to be not being able to take the lid off the rim some games. But we were able to do it on the defensive end. And I think that's kind of different from years past. Years past, we've kind of just been this offensive juggernaut of a team where we're able to just score at will. But this year we've really kind of transitioned it to being a really good defensive team. I mean, all 4 guys that are out there at any given time can play any position on the floor, guard anybody on the floor. And it kind of gives us that Boston Celtics vibe where you're putting guys out there that can guard positions 1 to 4 at this point. Even Nate, when he goes in there, he's a bigger guy, and you see him on the court and he's much later on his feet than you would expect. He's able to keep up with Colin Burns and not let him get inside, or switch on a matchup that might look like a mismatch to the guys on offense, but really he can keep up with them. So anybody that we throw in is really able to keep up defensively this year, and I think that's been a big key for us. Shaine, I kind of want you to touch on this because you're out there for most of the game. Talk about like the defensive ability of our guys, and kind of what you thought the keys were for us to get that win.
It's actually funny you asked, because I somehow came across the stats today, and we have 2 guys in the top 5 in steals. Johnny with 10, Vinny with 8. And that's pretty much the key to all of our games. But to touch on Tuesday, like you said, we knew coming in, make them shoot the ball. And that's not, as much as I want it to be, that's not a jab at them, because those guys can hoop. Every position can hoop. But their weakness is shooting the ball, especially when Vic's not there. You got to take advantage of their lack of kind of space in the floor, and like the IQ isn't there when Vic isn't there. And that's like, once again, it's not a jab at any of those guys, because Cody's smart. But if Cody has an off night, like we saw against us, it's up to Jose and Colin to get to the rim, because that's what they do. They're at the rim. And if you can stop that, attack, like I said, I'd rather die than let them beat us at the rim. I'd live and die with them at the 3 for sure. And that was the key to us winning.
Absolutely. And we kind of knew going in that the best defensive matchup for us against anybody's best player is Vinny. We always throw Vinny on him because
Vinny locks up.
Yeah, Vinny just plays unbelievable defense. And I would say Johnny's probably a better wing defender. He's probably one of the best wing defenders in the league, but Vinny just overall, I mean, being as he's not the tallest guy on the floor, but he's probably the strongest guy on the floor.
Vinny to get angry.
Yeah.
Like there's one instance in every game where Vinny will just be calm, and then someone will do or say something. He's like, all right, this. And he'll light it up from three. He'll hit the shots when he's supposed to, but then he'll just lock up on D-man where he's on someone's ass and he's just taking the ball. He's ripping the ball from people. And he's like fighting for boards on there. Like usually, like when I'm out, I get to see the whole game. And Vinny and Johnny are just scrapping down. Well, when we're small, when we go small at death lineup, like when I say it's murder time, these guys don't lack in any aspect of the game. Like offensively, yeah, they're killing it. But defensively, I think Johnny touched on it. Brian plays like he's 7'4", no matter what. Not just this league. I've watched Brian play for years now. He plays like he's 7'4", no matter what. And Johnny and Vinny are just dogs, man. They won't. Johnny get like the last couple of weeks, his offensive rebounds off the charts, coming right through, taking the ball back.
You know, and I think another key for us too this year is I think last year, just kind of chemistry wise, Brian was still adjusting to getting to play with us. And then this year, honestly, I've seen him taking a huge step, which you don't think is possible for a guy of that caliber. But when he goes in there, now it used to be we're always running through Johnny, right? We're always doing things through Johnny. And now when Brian goes in, we're kind of letting Brian run the offense. And for us, it's kind of nice. It takes a little bit of the pressure off of Johnny and lets him do what he's really good at, which is getting in that mid-range and scoring and getting to the hoop and shooting the ball when he needs to. But he's kind of playing that wing role that he's really good at. And I think because of the chemistry that we've developed now, this being our second year with Brian, he's just really been able to be the point guard that we need him to be. And he's literally, he had back-to-back possessions where he's getting an offensive putback over a guy who's a foot and a half taller than him, or you know what I'm saying? So he does everything. Yeah, he does. He's been doing everything for us this year, which is huge. Honestly, if he was playing all 40 minutes of the game, he'd probably be putting up MVP numbers this year. He's playing that good.
He's done them before. Like I tell everyone, Brian's not a score first guy. Like he would rather get these assists and rather do the trench work. Like that's like when I say he's a dog, he'll do the trench work that makes everyone around him better. That's why I talk so much shit, because I've had the green light from Brian for years. Like I know someone has my back where I can go and say this out of pocket stuff, and I'm going to eventually win the game. And that's all I need. So. Right.
Absolutely. And Danny, I know that you might want to touch on this a little bit later too, but I think this is a good time to kind of talk about this. So you had showed me a little bit that something that you had pulled up, something that you had created about how the key for the Duje's boys this year has been eliminating what you do best, specifically taking your best player out of the game. So I actually think that this would be a good time for you to kind of pull that up and talk about it if you want to do that.
Yeah, let me do that right now. There we go.
All your betting spreads.
Oh yeah, I got so much pulled up. I'm a big analytics guy, as you know. But yeah, from 4 of the 5 games that the Duje's boys have played this year, one of them is against the Lincoln 18ers, and I can't really think of a star of the league that's on the Lincoln 18ers. No disrespect to them, but going through the other 4 games, you've got Gian from the Warriors, you've got Jose from Lob, you've got Devin Pena.
First of all, Gian, if he's listening, absolute dog. By the way, me and PJ say it every week watching this kid play.
Yeah, he's
an absolute dog. Goes and gets it every week. It's incredible.
But yeah, you've got 4 guys here on 4 teams that you've played, and all 4 of them are in the top 10 of the league in scoring. And we'll start with Gian because that was the earliest of the matchups. You've got a guy that's averaging 30 points a game, and you come in and he's putting up 19 and he's shooting 1 for 7 from 3. Granted, he did have the one good game from 3 that Joey loved to talk about. He wasted all of his makes on the halfway crooks, but still 1 for 7 from 3 is a good defensive night for the Duje's boys. And then you've got Jose, who has multiple almost 40-point games this year, and he's putting up 20 and he's 0 for 10 from 3. You got Pena in Sin City, who's averaging close to 30 and 15, and you hold him to 14 and 6. And then you got Spence Freeman, who I think the numbers do a little bit of a disservice because actually, no, they're kind of a little inflated after the game.
His numbers hide a lot.
They're a little bit higher than they probably would be, and we'll talk about that week 5 game coming up. But still, 15 points, 7 of 23, 0 for 7 from the field. So you guys are able to take those guys that fill it up for these teams and are their best player and you make these teams look elsewhere, and you're like, you got to beat us a different way. And I think it's a very good testament to the defense that you guys are playing this year.
Like PJ said, we have someone for everyone. It's not going to be me. Like, I realistically wish I could lock down every game, but I'm not going to stay in front of Jose. Like, if he meets me at the rim, he meets me at the rim, so be it. But there's whispers of Vinny being the Jose stopper. Listen.
Hey, I'll go and say it. I mean,
but we've seen it. Like, Vinny locks him up, and listen, if that makes him come at him, great. I have all my faith in Vinny. But yeah, Vinny's locked, man. And then we have, like I said, we have.
I will say, not to interject here, Jose and Vinny have been matched up against each other in 2 games, and I think every other game that we have played against Jose, where Vinny is not either present or on him as the main defender, Jose has scored like 50.
I'll be the first to say Jose gave me 50. He put 50 on my head.
He scored like 50 and 28 or something like that. In the 2 games that he's played where Vinny is the primary defender on him, he's scored 17 and 20. And there's a guy that is like walking like 35 points a night, depending on his matchup.
So yeah, it's like, that's a testament to definitely Vinny. And like I said, Jose put 50 on my head. I'm not ashamed or embarrassed about it. It happens, but we have like I said, we have someone for everyone. If it's not me, it's Vinny. If it's not Vinny, it's Johnny. If it's not Johnny, it's Brian. There's so many guys, even like going to the bench, there's so many guys.
And not to stay on this game too much longer, just because we have to talk about the other ones, but I think everybody in the league knows that this isn't going to be the last time that we play them. We're absolutely going to have to face them in the playoffs. I mean, if all goes according to plan, we're
I would love to, but from what I can see, they have like trouble with everyone showing up every week. That could, like, we know that could definitely raise some hell in the playoffs, and it can bite you in the ass. But I hope to play them again. Obviously, you guys know me. I love to run through walls in the toughest road possible is the way I want to get it done. But yeah, I hope they definitely match up with us somewhere down the road.
All right, Shaine, before we let you go, we're going to be setting spreads again at the end of the podcast, but I think there's no one better to set the spread for Boy Bowl 3 than you. So, Duje's Boys, Ozone Boys, what's your spread?
This is going to sound so disrespectful, but I'm going to say, let's give them 13 points. The Duje Boys can give away 13 here. They have no big men, and if I don't get at least like 5 points in the paint this week, I got to really consider some stuff, because they got no one who can be physical like me down there. And then they can shoot the ball, but we can't too. Obviously, the last 2 weeks have been tough, but we can shoot the ball. So I'm going to go ahead and give them 13 points. And I'm not a loser. I don't like to lose my bets all game. So you guys know I'm going to be out there busting ass, keeping that 13 points up. So.
All right, we're going to hold you to that, because we know that when there's bad spreads, everybody kind of comes and attacks you. So if
it's our
this
game
one doesn't
now,
end
so
up, really. It's our game. So who are we going to attack, Shaine?
They can stay whatever.
Well, Shaine, thanks again for jumping on here. We really appreciate having you, and we will definitely talk to you a little bit later.
Anytime, guys. And yes, I'll be talking to you later.
See you, buddy.
All right, see you, bud.
Later.
All right, that was Shaine Patrick of the Duje's Boys. All right, Pete, we're going to move on. We kind of broke up the scheduling a little bit, so we're just going to move on to the first matchup. I was saying last week we had 2 kind of top-heavy matchups, and top-heavy were they. So we're going to start with halfway taking down Only the Fam. Final score of 113-53. So were you there for this game?
The halfway game.
Yeah.
Yes, I was there for the tail end of it. I walked in and halfway was up 35 or 40, and I said, what the hell is going on?
Okay, yeah. So I think the funniest thing about this, looking at it too, is the fact that I don't know how many. I think it was just the first quarter. Halfway had 3 guys the first quarter.
Yes.
And I fully believe, after looking at this box score and watching those highlights, they probably didn't. I don't even know who the 4th guy to show up was. It might have been, I think Jared was the 4th guy to show up.
Yeah, Hansen was there at the end. So by the end, it was Hansen, Spence, Jeff
and Joey,
and the triple double machine.
He's 1 assist away from the triple double.
The commish.
You couldn't, like, who missed a shot? Was it like one of the 3s that Spence took that Joey couldn't get his 10th assist on?
It might have been, but no, I
think that they could have won this game just with the 3 guys. They probably didn't even need Jared to show up,
which is absurd. any game where Joey Zacco is dropping almost a triple double on your head, you kind of sit there and you say, what happened? That'd be like if I went out there and dropped a triple double, you would think I took a couple cycles the week before. But, watching this game, I think that we were spot on last week where we just kind of said, does only the fam even play defense? And when you're playing 4-on-3 and you have arguably one of the top 5 players in the league and you're losing by a lot, you kind of have to chalk it up to defense, because realistically, there should have been one person wide open every time down the floor for them offensively. I don't quite know what happened because I wasn't there to watch the 3v4, but I mean, we have to question their defense at this point in the season. Not even if is their defense good enough to keep up, like, do they play defense? Talking to Joey, the answer is no. So only the fam, if you want to get mad at somebody for that, it's Joey. But, I mean, I don't think you can say that he's wrong at this point. I really don't know what else to say about that. If you're not going to play defense, or you're just going to give up when somebody gets by you, then you're not going to win any more games the rest of the year. And that's just, you might win a game if you have to play bogey kicks again. And other than that, good luck, because those first 2 wins you got might be an anomaly now.
Yeah, actually looking at it, I'm gonna pull up their schedule real quick. I was thinking about it. I don't know if they have a winnable game the rest of the year. I mean, do you think they do, even before you look at who they have to play?
They've already played bogey, so that's out. Have they played the Lincoln 18ers? Was that their other win, or did they beat?
That was their second win, yes.
So then my answer is no.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay, here we go. I got it right here. I'm going to pull it up for you. They've got Werewolves next week.
No.
They've got Sin City the week after that.
No.
And then they've got Warriors to close out the year.
No. Warriors are hot. We'll get to that. But Correa, Charles, absolutely went nuclear last week.
Oh, yeah, no, I saw it. I saw the whole thing.
I don't quite think that only the fam has another win in them, unless Brian Heston doesn't show up next week. Which then in that case, then go ahead, take a free win. But I have a tough time thinking that they're going to get a win the rest of the way. I don't know what you think, and I don't know if that's too harsh to say, but let me tell you something. The team that you don't want to not play defense against is the Werewolves, because they will run you out of the gym by 80 points next week.
Yeah, because the other thing with the Werewolves is they're going to play the defense on you. I mean,
absolutely.
We've seen they're probably, them and the Duje's boys, probably the top 2 defensive teams in the league. And you come through, if you don't want to play defense and they're going to play defense on you, you could be looking at, what is this, your 3rd straight or 4th straight loss of 40 plus points. Keep in mind, I was saying this last week, their 3 losses, every week they have given up over 110 points on these losses. So, and it does go to show you that defense. Yeah, no, you can't let that happen. And defense is the problem there. But going to another team where defense is the problem,
right?
We got Werewolves and Bogy. That's another 20-point game. But it's kind of funny that these 2 lopsided games worked out the way they did, because both games had attendance issues. You had halfway that was playing 3-on-4 for a quarter. And then you got the good guy Werewolves that were like, all right, we've got 4 guys. Bogy's got 3 guys. We'll play 3-on-3 for the entire first half.
Respect to the Werewolves for that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big move. I mean, you still won by 20 playing 3-on-3, but
that's a respectful move, though.
Yeah. Bogy's replacements, Bogy's subs, Bogy's bench doesn't show up until like a little bit before halftime. And I mean, the game kind of stays at the point that it was at when they were playing 3-on-3. I mean, it got to a 20-point lead. I don't think it got much bigger than that past the half. I'll pull it up real quick to take a look at it. But I want to know what you think is going on with the Werewolves, what you think is going on with Bogy. Heston's not the leading scorer in this game, funny enough.
Yeah,
or for
Sam
the Werewolves,
Clifford,
at
right?
least. No, leading scorer in the game was Matt Bogy.
Oh, I was just talking about for the Werewolves.
But Sam Clifford was the leading scorer for the Werewolves. Yes.
Yeah, Matt Bogy, I think, got a lot of touches. when the team was playing 3-on-3, which is not the reality of what their offense looks like. Again, respect to the Warriors for kind of being the bigger
Werewolves.
guy. The Werewolves, excuse me, for being the bigger
No,
guy
you're
here
fine.
and playing 3-on-3. That's a pretty ballsy move. Again, just a respectful move. Only the fam if you're listening. But I mean, we knew this game was going to be a blowout anyways. I don't think if you had told me that it's going to be 3-on-3, I don't think it changes anything as long as Brian Hessen's there. But Sam Clifford, I guess, is the reincarnation of Dave Campbell. So it'll be interesting to see what they are at full strength. If they can get everybody there for a game. But, I mean, Matt Bogy drops 31. And then you have David DePina coming in late, I believe, dropping 13. And then, Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver Mike Evans dropping 18. But, after that, what is there? What is there for them? And virtually nothing,
I mean, you almost feel bad for Bogy that they've probably also played their last probable winnable game, because if you've got a guy like Mike Evans, David DePina, and Chase Banks putting up, 39 points and only a half of basketball, they only play a half of the game and they score more than half the team's points. If all three of them played together for a full game and had a good game, good 40 minutes, they could have beaten an Only the Fam. They could have beaten an 18ers, but I think you're past the point of that.
Yeah, and it's kind of unfortunate. I don't think they get a win this year at this point now, unless a team doesn't show up. I don't know their schedule the rest of the way, but I can't imagine they're going to face a team that has less talent. And that, again, not a jab at them, but the league is pretty deep this year. This is one of the deeper, it's not that it's so deep where every team is good, but there's a ton of teams in the middle of the pack this year. There's kind of two teams that are not way ahead, but ahead of the pack in us and Lob. And then everyone else is kind of in that middle of the pack. And Ozone Boys is at the bottom of that middle, and they're probably the best team in the middle of the pack. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see where Bogy has a chance to win a game this year, which is unfortunate because they have talent. But I'm looking to rebuild next year if I'm them. At this point, I would start recruiting guys now because you need it. So, and build that chemistry in the offseason, because you're going to have to face a top team first round of the playoffs. And I can't imagine it's going to be an easy one. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't want to say anything too early. Obviously, anything can happen, but I mean, it's tough. It's tough to get wins in this league, but there's ways to do it, and I think that they'll figure it out for next season. But I don't see them making a run in the playoffs, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But you were just saying it's tough to win in this league. And going on to what I think was probably one of the tougher wins of the night to pull out. I'm trying to think, have we had an overtime game yet before this game this year?
I don't. Did Ozone go to overtime?
I don't know if they did.
I don't know. Not from memory.
Yeah, no. But regardless, we do have an overtime thriller, I will say. The Warriors are taking down Sin City 84-76. It was a bounce back game for Pina. I will say that much. He put up 14 and 6 against the Duje's boys, as we had just mentioned. He comes back with 37 and 21.
Yeah, huge game from him.
Yeah, big bounce back. The other thing I want to say, Sin City bringing back Duje boy favorite Jerry Rodriguez, former player of the week. I think he won player of the week one of the weeks last year, but
I was excited to see Jerry there. We love Jerry.
Oh yeah. I was so excited. I pull up the Snapchat and I see the brighter green jersey and I was like, oh, look at that. It's Jerry. But
absolutely.
We were talking about this a second ago. It was not the Gian Avedizian show this time. It was the Charles Correa show. So I want you to talk about that because let
me tell you something.
He was automatic.
So we talk a lot when we go and watch other teams play. We sit together and we kind of talk. And what I didn't know, what Brian was kind of telling me, was that Charles was like an all-state basketball player at St. Ray's, was legit in high school. And I was like, I I mean, I guess I don't see it just because, he's been like really struggling, really off, not himself at all, from what Brian was saying. And then this game, it was like someone breathed life into him. Like this is the first time I've ever seen him like have this kind of life on the court, and he went nuclear. Like I watched him hit probably three threes in a row from 6 feet outside the 3-point line, like just coming down the court and pulling. And we were like, this is, and Brian turned to me, he was like, this is the Charles I know. Like, this is what I've been telling you, dude. Like, he can play. And I mean, clutch coming down the court. I think if he can be that the whole way, he's the point guard to run and let Gian run off the ball. Because the passes he was making, the decisions he was making going to the hoop, it was like he literally found new life, which was crazy to see. It's like, how do you go from being irrelevant in these last couple of weeks to now looking like you're the absolute best player on the floor when you have potentially the MVP on your team? I mean, that's scary. That's scary for a lot of teams. I don't want to play them in the playoffs. They're going to be a tough out. I don't think anybody wants to. And if you have Charles playing like this and Gian playing at his best, good luck to whoever has to face them in the playoffs, because it's not going to be easy. But
you gotta wonder what their draw is going to be, which I'm going to share the screen again, because this is another team I was saying you want to take a look at who they're playing the rest of the year. They have those 2 big losses to start the year. And now closing out the season, these last 3 games, I don't think they get a loss. They got Bogy, 18ers only. They got the bottom 3 in the power rankings to finish off the year.
I'm betting my life here that the Warriors win out and they win 6 straight to go 6-2.
I think they win out. I think they end up with the 3 seed because, I mean, you never want to say you foresee Lob losing another game. I mean, I think Lob has halfway and Ozone Boys as 2 of their last 3 games. So you would expect those to be tough matchups, but you'd never want to bet against Lob.
Right.
So I think the way it would finish out if you have all 3 of your top 3 teams winning out. You have Duje's at 1, Lob at 2, Warriors at 3. That's going to be a pretty good semifinals game if you have a semis matchup of Lob and the Warriors. Then you have Warriors playing the way they have been.
And you have one of the teams either halfway or the Werewolves, in my opinion, probably sitting at 4. And the other sitting at 5, and then Ozone Boys right there. So, I mean, Ozone Boys maybe not because of their record to start the year, but that's a tough road through the playoffs. Tough road.
There is no, because I remember when we won in summer 19. I remember I told you before the seeding came out, because there were so many teams at like 5-4 or 4-5. I was like, if we're on the side of the bracket, if we're not on the same side of the bracket as Lob, we are winning the championship, is what I told you. And I don't think there's a side of the bracket this year that is a good one to be on, because I think there's so many teams that no matter where the chips fall, any team on a good night is going to be a tough play.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the playoffs, you're going to get everybody's best game. Everybody's going to be trying to play the best basketball that they've played all year. So, I mean, it's going to be a very interesting playoffs come that time. I think we'll talk about it probably a little bit later in the pod, but yeah, I think it's going to be an unreal playoffs, probably the best that we've been a part of for sure.
All right. So it was a very light week 5. Like we were saying before, Ozone Boys and 18ers did not play due to scheduling conflicts. So we're going to move on to our week 6 matchups. We're going to forecast. We're going to set the spreads. I don't think they've picked a game of the week yet, but I think we can like internally pick our own game of the week. So we'll do everything and we'll lead up to it. I think you know what I would pick.
I don't even know the matchups, to be honest with you.
Okay, so we'll start with it. First 7 p.m. matchup is going to be Only the Fam against the Werewolves. And if I'm setting a line for this game, like we were saying, the big killer is defense. We've seen Only the Fam lose 3 straight after 2 wins and give up over 110 all 3 times and lose by at least 30 all 3 times. So I don't think I'm out of my mind saying I'm going to favor the Werewolves by like 24.5 here. I think I was going to at least a 20-point win here.
I was going to set it at 19.5 to be conservative, just because I'm a little confused as to why they didn't beat Bogy by 70. But, I think that's fine. I think if you want to meet in the middle on that, like at 21.5.
Yeah, we can go 21.5.
Yeah, my pick would be the the Werewolves. Jesus, I keep mixing those two up. The Werewolves there. We can talk about keys to the game. The key is if only the fan plays defense, they have a chance to win. But if you're gonna choose a week to not play defense, it better not be this one, because you will get the brakes beat off of you by the Werewolves. So, we look at this point in the season, we know what teams have to do to win. We know every team's game plan. We know what the Werewolves need to do. They need to run through Brian, and only the fam needs to play defense. And that's the only answer for them. They have to play defense.
I think it's not even just as simple as play defense if you're only the fam, because I think if you play defense, but you still have offensive nights out of your three best guys that you've had the last 3 weeks, 3 games, you're still going to lose that game, because good defense is only going to get you so far against the Werewolves, because the Werewolves are a good defensive team too. You have to be on offensively as well.
Right. Yeah, but I think that's a good line, 21.5 for the Werewolves.
Yeah, we'll set that at 21.5. And I feel kind of bad because the way we said it, we're always favoring the favorites. But, 21.5, that's a good number to set.
We have some double headers this week, right? For some teams?
No, next week is the double headers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun forecast.
That's going to be a fun pod.
All right. Another 7 p.m. game is the Bogy Kicks against the Rhode Island Warriors.
I'm going to favor the Rhode Island Warriors by 25.5.
I would get on that with you. I would go the exact same way.
I'm going to say this. We were 4 for 4 last week. Every single, if you were a betting man and bet on our picks, you would have made a lot of money. If you did a parlay of all 4 of those picks, you'd probably made some good money.
And they were all fairly close picks, with the exception of halfway only the fam. I think, what did we have? 12.5 for Werewolves. They won by 20.
It was a pick 'em. It was a pick 'em for the Duje's boys.
2.1
by 2.
We said 3.5 for Warriors, and it was an 8-point win. The only one that was really off was we favored halfway by 8.5, and they won by 60.
Yeah. So, I'm going to say the Warriors, if Charles comes to play like this the rest of the year, you're going to have no problem winning every game by 20 or more every week. They're your last 3 games. And if Kevin Figueredo shows up next week against Bogy, he hasn't been there. If he shows up and Gian and Charles are playing like that, wrap it up. It might be a 50-point game.
They've won 3 without Kevin. So
yeah, I know. Gian told me to stop saying they need Kevin to come. So
I don't think they need Kevin to come. I want Kevin to come. I like watching Kevin play. It's not a matter of I think they're a bad team without Kevin. It's that I like watching Kevin play basketball.
Yeah, no, I like Kevin. I think when he walks into the Johnson Rec Center, they need to blast some Young Gravy, Mr. Clean over the loudspeakers. But no, we like Kevin. Kevin's cool. Yeah, I'm set. I think the 25.5 is more than generous.
Yeah, I still think 25.5 is a good line. I feel like it's always the fade Bogy train is what you go with.
Got to.
Okay, going with the next one, which I definitely think is going to be Joey's pick for game of the week because he's involved in it.
Oh, I know what your pick's going to be. I know what my pick is going to be.
But the first of 2 8 p.m. games is halfway against Lob City.
Joey's going to pick that one.
Joey's absolutely going to pick that one. But I want to hear what you think a key to this one is, and then we can set a line.
Spence Freeman and Jose. Whoever hits more threes, that team's going to win. Like between the two of them. It might look like the Ben Simmons and Russell Westbrook show.
I was going to say there better not be any war veterans in the crowd because they're going to get some shell shock.
Well, no,
I'm sorry. That might have been a little too far. But I had to say it.
No, I'm telling you right now, if Spence Freeman hits more threes than Jose, halfway is going to win that game. If Jose hits more threes than Spence Freeman, the Lob City is going to win that game.
See, I still think that there's no. I mean, there are some scenarios in which halfway comes out on top, but I think most scenarios, I think Lob comes out on top.
No, I think
I don't think it's.
too.
I don't think it comes down to which of your two best players is hitting more threes. I think that's kind of a little bit reductive of what this game is.
No, I know. I've kind of just being hypothetical here, but I take Lob in this game. I think they're a better team than halfway. But look, I mean, if you're gonna go transitive property here, we beat halfway by 2 and we beat Lob by 2, so they're pretty evenly matched.
Yeah,
you know, I know that
fair way
doesn't
to
always
look at
it doesn't always work that way, but yeah, we might walk into the Johnson Rec Center and it sounds like Vietnam, but you know, then we'll know who's on the court. So
I'm gonna give Lob I'm gonna give him an 8.5 point edge here.
Yeah, I like that. I'm leaning more towards 6.5, but
okay.
If you want to meet in the middle and go 7.5, I'm cool with that.
We'll call it 7.5. So that way you can take halfway, then I'll take take Lob.
I'm taking.
Or you want to ride the same way?
I'm riding the same train. Yeah. We're in
okay.
These
we'll go
together.
7.5. All right. The other 8 p.m. game, we've got Sin City and the Lincoln 18ers. Tough loss for Sin City last week. I think they bounce back this week. I mean, there's have to be a lot that goes wrong for them and a lot that goes right for the 18ers.
Yeah, I think
win.
I think Sin City gets this win. You know, you're taking dark green versus light green here. What do you want? But I'm taking Sin City here. I think they're better all the way around. They have better star power. They'll have the 2 best players on the court, probably the 3 best players on the court, to be honest with you. And they got my boy Jerry back, so I'm gonna give him a win. Jerry, if you're listening to this,
I think
that one's for you.
I think if I had to put a number on this, that's a good question. What are you thinking right off the bat?
10.5. Or maybe even lower, just to be kind of conservative, like a 9.5, 8.5. I think Sin City probably wins by double digits. I don't know if they have anybody that can keep up with Devin.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But for that reason, I mean, what'd you say? 8.5?
I said 10.5 to start.
10.5? Okay. I mean, let's
you want to go 9? 9.5?
Yeah, let's go 9.5. That's a fair number.
I like it.
All right. And then this is our pick for game of the week. Not Joey's, but ours.
We got to make a cool graphic for Boy Bowl 3.
We really do. It's Boy Bowl 3. It's the Ozone boys against the Duje's boys. This is the third matchup, as we've said. And I tweeted about it today because Joey was wondering if we had played each other in the past or how many times we'd played each other in the past.
This is the third time.
That first matchup, I think it was like 62-60.
We lost
the final score. Yeah, the Ozone boys got that one.
The year we won the championship. And that game.
And I want to do a deep dive on that. If we do like a rewatchables podcast,
we should. You know what, Danny? We should do that.
Yeah,
because that game caused us to be the 9 seed and them to be the 4 in that playoff run.
Right.
And that was the year we won the championship, being the lowest seed to ever do it.
No, wait, I don't think they were the 4 because we were on the bracket. We were on the same side as the 1 seed.
I promise you they were the 4.
Well, they played the Werewolves in the final. I think the Werewolves might have been the 4.
Well, they were the 5. Long story short, like whoever won that game, it would have flip-flopped. So we were either 9 or 5, and they ended up being 5. We ended up being 9 because of that loss. And then we ended up beating them the next season that we played. I don't.
Yeah, that second matchup. I think it was 82-70. I know it was a 12-point win
for us.
Yeah. So the Boy Bowl is 1-1 all time. This is the first ever rubber match. The Duje's boys still lead the plus minus, and we don't need to set a line because Shaine already set a line for us. If you want to back Shaine, it's Duje's boys minus 13.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is going to be a great game. It's going to be a very good game.
It's always a fun game.
He's setting that line because he's confident that we're going to get the win. But I mean, we're always confident we're going to get a win. We've been confident for the last 5 weeks. Nothing's going to change at this point. And I think you have to set that line because of the standings, even though we know how good Ozone is. I just think, even especially with a week off, and we just played, a team that we think is right behind us as terms of talent. I think we're ready to go. I'm hoping, I mean, I know it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a lot of shit talk that goes on in this game. That always is in the Boy Bowl.
We need teams that love to talk.
We need an annual Boy Bowl trophy. We need to have a Boy Bowl every year, I think.
Yeah.
I think we should live stream it from the legacy leagues, Twitch, which needs to be under development, Joey. Trust us on that one.
Yeah, Joey, I've been saying this to PJ. I think instead of the Snapchats, we need to get cameras set up and we got to go Twitch live stream. That way you get the full game, you get full highlights. There's no gaps in between.
Color commentary.
Here's the thing, though. You don't need to have a broadcast crew for every game. Like literally just have it so you have it set up so it's the camera following. You have the ticker at the bottom with the score. And then
game of the week needs to have a
maybe game of the week gets a broadcast crew. The finals gets a broadcast crew. Like the big games get somebody calling the game. You got kids that want to get media experience. Let them call the games.
Give the people what they want.
Yeah.
Danny and I will help out. If I'm not playing in the game of the week, but
yeah, exactly. And it's very rarely that the Duje's boys are not part of the game of the week anymore.
Right. That's
what happens. Our pick for game of the week is Duje's
the Boy Bowl again.
Yeah, exactly.
Joey,
all right, get your tickets, make your picks.
If it's not the Boy Bowl, we're going to be disappointed. But that's all right. So yeah, a couple things to recap. A lot of good matchups this week. I don't know if there's any matchups that kind of will swing the standings in a certain way that will affect the playoffs. But to kind of touch on that, Danny, if the season were to end today, I kind of want you to talk about what you think the semifinals would look like.
That's actually a good question because one thing that I remember, well, I'm going to pull up the standings, but the other thing I'm going to pull up is Joey told us a couple years ago, because remember there's that log jam of 5-4 and 4-5 teams, but not everyone had played each other. And we were like, how are you going to figure out tiebreakers? And he's like, oh, it goes by RPI. Me being the analytics guy, I went through and I made the spreadsheet calculating everybody's RPI. So if the season ended today, here's what our standings look like. So we got Duje's at 5-0. That's obvious. We've got these 3-3-2 teams here, but they haven't all played each other. So we'd have to go RPI for the tiebreaker. And from the math that I did, if I remember correctly, I believe it would go halfway Warriors, Werewolves. And then it would go Sin City, only the fam, Ozone Boys, 18ers, and then Bogy Kicks. So if the season were to end today, you'd have Duje's at 1, Lob at 2, Warriors at 3, halfway at 4. Those would be your top 4 seeds. But I'm trying to think.
Warriors at 4, halfway at 3. That's what you had said before.
Oh yeah, Warriors at 4. My bad.
Okay, but so I mean, in your mind, right? What does the semifinals look like if the season ends today? Just kind of doing it in your head.
I'm gonna pull up what a 10-man bracket, how the seeding and matchups would look like, so I know how the chips would fall.
My guess is Joey probably has one play-in game like he did the year that we won.
If it's a 10-man league, you have 2 playing games. So top
2 playing games. Okay.
So pretty much you have the top 6 teams get a bye, essentially.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if it's more than half, would you even call it a bye? But so it would basically be the 1 seed plays the winner of the 8-9 matchup,
which would be
2 seed plays the winner of the 7-10 matchup. So as it stands right now, Duje's would play the winner of 18ers Ozone Boys.
Okay.
So that'd be, and we're going to get a peek at 18ers Ozone Boys next week. So if the standings held, English.
Are you sure it would be that way and not the 1 seed playing the lowest seed?
No, because if it went chalk and the 8 seed beat the 9 and the 7 beat the 10, and then you'd have a standard 1 through 8 bracket where 1 plays the 8.
I gotcha.
Yeah. But looking at that.
No, I don't think that's how the bracket's going to end up. Either.
I don't think how it's going to end up, but if we're looking at if the season ended today, I think your semis are probably Werewolves Warriors is going to be a fun game in the first round if that happens.
Yeah, that'll be a great one.
But I think you would have to go Duje's Werewolves in the semis. I can never bet against the Werewolves. We've had a couple semifinals matchups with them. Yes. They're always good games.
Yep. Overtime.
And then at the bottom of the bracket, maybe, I could see Sin City taking down halfway in the first round.
And then making it a Lob City semifinals.
Because Joey keeps saying that he's glad that they played Sin City when they did. I would love to see a halfway Sin City matchup in the playoffs because I'd love to see how that would go. And then we'd have a semi matchup of Lob and Sin City.
So if the season ends today, your picks would be Duje's, Werewolves, Sin City, and Lob. Exactly. Based on the matchups that would be in place.
Exactly.
I like it. It's a little different than what I probably would have picked, but I like it.
Who would you pick?
Because I don't have it in front of me, I'm just going to give you who I think would make it. I think Duje's and Lob is a lock, right? And that's two opposite sides of the bracket. Now you have, is it the odds on the same side as us?
It'd be the even. So it would be the 1-4 and the 2-3.
Okay. I think the Warriors make a run. I know we had them at 4. I think it's a Duje's Warriors semis. And I think a lot. I picked halfway to be my not Lob or Duje's pick. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say it goes chalk.
So you think it's 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah, to be honest with you. I mean, I think the Werewolves have a little more experience in the playoffs than the Warriors, so that's why I don't.
Yeah, the Werewolves come playoff time are a very different team. They were like the year they went to the finals. I think they were below 500. They were like the 7 seed.
Yeah, so I don't.
No, we were the 7 seed. They were like the 5.
Yeah, but and I do think the top 4 teams, in saying that, have a lot of experience in the league. Look, every team that we've put in there has been in the league before. There's no new teams that we have going to the semifinals, right? So, I think the expected finals matchup is going to be Duje's and Lob, which would be a rematch of last year. And again, the only 2 teams that have ever won a championship in the league. So, I mean, to bet against that would be a little bit kind of off. It would be off to kind of to go against that. I think that's expected. Not saying it's guaranteed, obviously, because there's nothing guaranteed, but that's what everyone's kind of looking at. So, look, there's going to be some great matchups in the playoffs this year, is essentially what we're getting at. Come those last 2 weeks, man, those games are going to be really intense for those teams that are trying to get in. I know for us, if we end up locking it in, if Lob loses a game or whatever it may be, we're just going to have some fun out there and probably let me and Verducci start some games or whatever. But, I think it's going to be a great playoffs, and I'm really excited to see where the rest of the season goes. So it's one of the better seasons of legacy leagues. I'm glad everyone's here for it. And, we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah. Playoff time is always a very interesting time in the legacy leagues, and we are more than halfway there. It's a little bit shorter of a regular season this year. I feel like in years past it's been like 9 or 10 game regular season. This year it's only 8, so we've got a little bit quicker of a road to get to the playoffs. But it does look like as the weeks go on, it's shaping up to be a very interesting, intriguing playoffs. Is there anything else you want to add before we sign off, Pete?
Nope, I think that's it for me. So thanks again for listening this week. And Dan, you want to sign us off?
Yeah, that's all from me as well. So that's going to do it for this week of the Low Post Pod. We'll be back next week. Hopefully the right boys will have hoisted the Boy Bowl trophy, but we'll have a lot to get back next week. So tell your mother you love her.